You guys, I'm not gonna lie. I really thought that the days of these developers in LA building $100+ million spec homes were kind of over. There's just way too many of these developers who got completely burned on these big deals over the last like 10 years or so. But a developer just listed what he is calling his boldest home yet. It's a 35,000 square foot mega mansion in Bel Air with an asking price of $177 million. If you go to Google Street View to look at this house, not surprisingly, it doesn't look like much. But just wait until you guys see the photos and the video footage of this house. I honestly think it's one of the most special residential properties to ever hit the market in LA. The property is located at 607 Sienna Way, and when I show you these Google Earth pictures, don't confuse the house we're talking about today with this big plot of land above it. We'll look into what's going on with that property a little later in this video. This is obviously a super prime location, right next to the Bel Air Country Club, perched right above the golf course. And just to give a little bit of a lay of the land here, here's the house that we're talking about today with a red star. Here's a spec off Carcassonne that sold a few years ago for $36 million. Here's an 8,800 square foot Tudor that sold earlier this year for $27 million. The one is up here. We all know that story. That sold for $141 million a few years back. Perugia Way sold for $23 million a couple months ago. St. Cloud over here sold in January for $25 million. Like I said, very prime location. Yes, none of these houses sold anywhere close to that $177 million other than the one, but also none of these other houses are anywhere near as big or as decked out as the one that we're talking about today. Before we look at the house together, first I just want to talk really quick about the developer of this house. He's not one that we've actually talked about here on the channel much at all because he kind of flies under the radar. This guy's name is Ardie Tavangarian. Ardie is the founder and CEO of the Ardie Group, which has been in business since the 1980s. His company specializes in designing and building some of the most epic architectural properties in the world, with a big focus on mega luxury properties around the LA area. Ardie's behind a $75 million mansion that sold in LA back in 2019. He sold a 20,000 square foot mansion in the Pacific Palisades for $83 million in 2021. It's pretty rare to see a developer continue to find success with these ultra luxury mega mansions, just back-to-back wins, but Ardie continues to sell his houses, and honestly, for good reason. He's got this signature style that celebrities and high net worth people just love. He's been featured in magazines, Architectural Digest. But the coolest part about Ardie is that he's not some big show off. Like, you don't see his name in the news nearly as much as some of these other big developers around LA. Steven Shapiro has worked with Ardie for the past 20 years, and he said that he's always been a gentleman. He's very gracious, very well-mannered. He's not aggressive like some of the other developers. He just does his work, and then he lets his product speak for itself. Now that we're all on the same page about the guy who built this spec, it's finally time that we take a look at it together. You're not gonna find this house on Zillow or Redfin or Homes.com or anything like that yet. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe those listings will be activated sometime soon. But the house, of course, comes with its own website, which it has a handful of photos on here. I don't even want to spend too much time looking at the photos because we're going to watch the video together here in a second, but we can just scan through a couple of them real quick and I'll read off some of the description to you guys just to give you a feel for like how they're marketing this place. Of course, at the entrance, they have the property's name engraved in stone. Like I mentioned earlier, the house has 35,000 square feet. It's spread out over several levels. There is a 4-story bronze finished staircase in here that's suspended from the ceiling, so it almost looks like it's floating. The spa is out of control. They designed this spa to resemble a jungle, which I'd say they nailed it. And they say that the house was inspired by nature and it incorporates elements of fire and water, which I feel like a lot of architects say that. It's like a good buzz thing to say, like, oh yeah, my house incorporates elements of fire and water. But I promise you guys, this house is full of fire and water. I feel like the website only gives us a little taste of this house. It definitely leaves you wanting more, but Ardie also featured like a sizzle reel video on his YouTube channel the other day, so we should check out the highlights from this video together too. Now, before we even watch this video, I want to give 2 shout outs really quick. The first one is to the Ardie YouTube channel. They've only got 233 subscribers. Let's show these guys some love. Go over to his channel and hit subscribe. And then look, I want to scroll down here too and show you guys the video credit on this one. It says produced by Enes. And look, if we scroll down here, you will see Enes actually left a comment down here that says stay tuned. So yeah, we probably got a full walkthrough coming from Enes any day now. Really looking forward to that, but let's watch this one together now. That door is absolutely insane. I love everything about it. It's the biggest pivot door I've ever seen. This thing's probably like 12 feet tall by like 16 feet wide. Then I love how on this left section, this is actually, I think, the main like front door. This one also moves, but I love on both of these sections how we got these louvers that run in front of the door all the way up to the second story balcony. See, that's that main front door I was talking about. I would imagine this is the one that you use more often. Still a massive door. I'm gonna be doing a lot of starting and stopping throughout this video because remember, this is just kind of like a sizzle reel. This isn't a full walkthrough, so they're just flashing a bunch of random shots like very quickly throughout this video. But let's just take a minute to appreciate these doors. We thought the front door was big. These things have got to be like 20 feet tall, I'd guess. That is insane. What I like about this house too, when you look at these exterior shots, is that it feels very established already. Like it's a spec home that was just finished, but there's a lot of lush landscaping around here. The house looks just nice and kind of settled into the lot. Like it doesn't give you that super harsh, stark look that a lot of these new modern boxes give you. It feels like it belongs here. I don't know if this is the main kitchen or just one of many kitchens in this house. The description doesn't really say, but beautiful finish package in here. Like this marble countertop, the kitchen sink itself is also marble. The design in here is very unusual, but it also is very Ardie. Like if you look at some of his other properties that he's built, this one is totally in line, is totally on brand. This wall of windows is just so cool, so custom. I love how some of the panels are stained glass and the other ones are just clear. And if you look closely, you'll see these hinges. This wall of windows actually opens up. So like these are the hinges. This is the hydraulic that makes it work. I think the next shot actually shows us this thing opening. It's like overwhelming trying to process everything that's going on from this angle, to be honest. The master bedroom comes with a retractable roof. I'm not sure why you would ever need that in life, but I mean, come on. A retractable roof in the master? And we are entering now what I believe to be the spa. This is the craziest part of the entire house. Let's check this out. And how about the glass throughout this house? Like, there is so much glass. It's always looking at something. This view during the day is incredible. Wall-to-wall glass. And look at these trees wrapped in lights. At nighttime, I bet this view is just as amazing as it is during the day. I mean, that's about a wrap for this video. You guys should watch it all the way through on your own time and just soak all this stuff in. It's unbelievable. I've been looking at these mega mansions here on this channel for like 3 years now. I have never seen anything like this. Like the design details, the craftsmanship, some of the engineering challenges that they definitely faced putting this thing together. Okay, so we've seen the house, or at least everything that we're going to see at this point in life of this house, but the next thing I want to try to figure out is exactly what this huge undeveloped lot is, this literally right next door to Ardie's house. Well, if we go back to Google Earth View, you can see here is Ardie's new house right here, the one we've been looking at all day. And then here is this other property. It's just like a huge, slightly developed flat piece of land with what looks to be some type of a structure or almost like a parking garage on the lower level. Well, I went down the rabbit hole on this one. It turns out that this property is actually 2 separate lots, 671 Sienna Way and 673 Sienna Way. Both the lots are owned by the same guy, and at this point in time, I think the lots have actually been combined. And these things have been sitting in this like half demolished state for around a decade now. Back in 2008, a guy named Tom Gore bought these lots. He paid $56 million. He tore down most of what was there. All that's left there now is that 3.2 acre graded site that we saw a minute ago. Those retaining walls are there, and then there's that pre-built underground structure, which is supposedly a 15-car garage. I couldn't find anything about why this Gore's guy bought this property to begin with, like what was his original intention with it, but let's just put it this way, spending $56 million on a plot of land in Bel Air in 2008 was, in hindsight, not the greatest idea. Gore sat on the lots for 8 years before relisting them for sale for $47.9 million in 2016. Doesn't look like the lots ever resold. He actually took both of them off the market in early 2017. So yeah, it looks like Gore's still owns these lots, and unless Google is very outdated on this one, he hasn't done anything with the land since he took it off the market. At first I was thinking maybe he passed away or something, but nope. Tom Gore is still very much alive. He's only 60 years old. He's still working for the private equity firm that he founded in Beverly Hills. And any of you basketball fans out there might recognize this guy. His company is actually the owner of the Detroit Pistons. I will say it's not completely unusual to see an abandoned, half-developed property in Bel Air. A lot of times people either just run into some other life obligations, or they run out of money on a project, or they get fed up with the permitting process. But I'll also say that it is kind of weird that there just appears to be absolutely no progress or press on this property for the last 8 years. If I was Ardie and his team, I would be a little bit annoyed by this eyesore of a property that's right next door to my new $177 million mansion that I'm trying to sell. Remember that video that we were watching earlier? Now it kind of makes sense that the only drone shots they gave us were either facing the golf course or they were nighttime shots where you really couldn't see the empty lot next door. On one hand, I could see Ardie spinning this as a selling point and basically saying, look, if you buy this house, you're basically guaranteed to have a $300 million neighbor one day when the person does finally develop the lot next door. But on the other hand, that neighbor's site will probably deter some buyers who don't want to be living next to a construction site for the next 5 years. Regardless of how that part of the story unfolds, I'm hoping for the best for both Ardie and his team here. They knocked it out of the park with this one. I'll see you guys next week.